Hello and welcome to the Company of Heroes 3 North African Operation Reveal stream. I'm your host, Imogen Mellor, and I'm so excited to be bringing you new gameplay, exclusive interviews, and maybe even a little surprise. You just watched the cinematic
Is that a
trailer
Model
for the
1
North
we just
African
saw?
Operation, setting the scene for a dramatic clash in the desert. It's one of two campaigns
Panzer
you'll be able to
one,
play
I'm not
at
sure, we
launch,
saw
and
something
as the
like
name
that.
suggests, takes place during the fighting between the
Model
Brits,
3?
the Germans, and the Italians in North Africa.
It's a lot smaller.
We've got a lot to show you today. We'll be talking to the developers at Relic, introducing you to a new faction and its units, and exploring what makes North Africa a distinct battlefield. And if you're obsessed with tanks, I've got some good news. You're going to be seeing quite a lot of them.
Yes.
Look, they've even invaded the studio. Don't worry though, the ones you're going to be playing with are quite a bit larger. But first things first,
Careful,
you've seen the
handle
cinematic
the merchandise
trailer, so how
with
about
care,
we move on to
please.
some exclusive gameplay of the first mission.
Oh, here we go. Down plane. Oh, that's Panzer 3, isn't they, chat? Dude, we can ride on tanks? Yee! Oh, dude, please tell me we can ride on tanks. As like a general thing now.
Italian troops have engaged the British forces nearby. They're fighting hard, but it's only a matter of time before they're overwhelmed.
It's a German campaign mission!
We need to provide support by pushing forward.
Must be. Oh, yes. Support the Italian units? Dude, there's an Italian tank! I see it! It's over there somewhere.
Fire smoke cannons.
Oh ho! Yes, boys! Smoke rounds, okay.
Panzer Grenadiers standing by.
Pew pew.
The Fox is fine. Panzer Grenadiers relocating.
Oh, I'm liking the Panzer Grenadier sounds.
Locked and loaded. Let's move.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Ready, willing and able.
The British anti-tank gun is a formidable threat. Eliminate it.
I want a grenade on that position.
Jawohl! Don't wait for permission! Fucking drive the flank!
Another grenade out. Holy Jesus!
What do you need?
Must have been a fuel can there or something. Jesus. What's that? What tank is that? Is that an M3?
This is it. Panzer
That's not, or is that a Stuart? I think it's a Stuart.
Panzer Grenadiers await orders.
And is that a Matilda?
Marching with haste.
What do you need?
Yeah! Oh, this is cool, man! Matildas, I wonder how good they are.
Abandoned park. Take it. Loud and clear, Commandant. Coordinates received.
I'm just scanning for any kind of new stuff here. What kind of anti-tank gun is that then they picked up? A 2-pounder, not a 6-pounder. Okay, so not as good as obviously a 6-pounder, but at this stage in the war, probably more than enough. Oh, got decruised straight away.
My men are veterans. Ricardo! Double time!
I wonder why those Germans have like that symbol above their heads. Does it mean they're on recharge on their ability that they just used? Bloody hell, that freaking armoured vehicle. Oh, I like this when the tanks go up a hill. You see how the Stuart went up and then down back on the terrain, and that was cool.
We are promoted! Keep automated! Light by Italian! Light by Sudan! There's another notch! Let's haste! Bring the process!
Okay. Oh, the machine gun on the Quaxel machine guns sound cool.
We have defeated the British forces, but more are expected to arrive soon. Return to headquarters and deploy additional troops immediately.
I imagine they're going to change the look of the field rebel there because he looks like he's in standard uniform and not the kind of the desert yellow, you know, kind of that.
A handful of wrecked tanks in a few seconds if you're not quick to react.
So
The good news,
look.
there are some new units designed to handle just such a disaster. We'll be showing them off more later, but before that, let's learn more about the operation itself and who you'll be playing from the team at Relic Entertainment.
Churchill?
We've
Is that the
got
Black
two
Prince?
big portions of single player for players to experience. One is the dynamic Italian campaign, and of course the other one, which
Italian
we're excited to
campaign?
announce today,
Oh,
is
from
the
the
North African
one.
operation.
We already know about that one. Oh, is it? Wait, players Italians? No, it's just
The North African
actually
operation
Italy.
is a traditional linear
Hey, it's
story-based
Will!
campaign, reminiscent of our campaigns from Company of Heroes 1 and Company of Heroes 2. They'll be very familiar to returning players to the Company of Heroes franchise, and features the Deutsche Afrika Korps on their push back across North Africa against the British forces. This new German faction is an excellent opportunity for us to have a look at the German army.
Oh, flamethrower!
Whereas
Flamethrower
we
Panzer
normally
3!
represent the
Flamethrower
Wehrmacht
Panzer
later in
3,
the war
chat!
as a more
Oh!
defensive faction, usually on the retreat.
Yes, boys! Can we get some hype in the chat for a Flamethrower Panzer 3? Oh my god, yes! That looks great.
Earlier in the war. This faction as well is complemented by a very strong
Whoa,
roster
ho,
of
ho.
vehicles. It's an exciting new way of playing the game by having most of your core abilities based around these vehicles. We're very excited to see
Sorry,
how
my
players-
stream's dropping some frames. Apologies.
Yes, they're very mechanized, and there's lots of action out there in the North African operation and in the North African.
Alright, it's my stream that
theater.
we might see-
Players will see that the map is much more wide open.
Hopefully it should
with the
improve in a
deserts,
minute.
and they'll be able to try
Bit rate
their
just
tanks
gone
out
down a
there,
bit.
get
It should
big open
go back up in a
tank
second,
battles
guys.
And open, terrain for them to just blow things up.
Another reason why adding the DAC to our roster is really exciting is because it brings our amount of playable factions at launch up to 4, which is double the amount that we launched with in Company of Heroes 2. So there's just so much more content for players to play and units to get their hands on. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Right! They're on our side!
The 4 playable factions at launch will be the United States Forces, which will be familiar to fans of Company of Heroes 1. Facing off against them in Italy will be the Wehrmacht, the more entrenched and defensive German army later in the war. And then we have the North African factions, the Deutsche Afrika Korps, or DAC, which will be your more aggressive and mechanized army. And against them will be the British forces working with their Commonwealth allies, which is our more well-rounded and robust
Tiga.
force in North Africa.
What are
This
those?
is the Mediterranean theater. Both sets of content will be available in single-player experiences and in multiplayer experiences. So you'll have maps for Italy, of course, and
Sorry
maps
about the
for
ads,
North
guys.
Africa
If you
right away
if you
day one.
subscribe to the channel, you don't get hit with ads. FYI, I believe.
This all sounds like great news for fans of the original linear campaigns from Company of Heroes 1 and 2. Whether you want a sprawling campaign with a mix of turn-based strategy and real-time tactics, or something that throws you into the real-time action straight away, it sounds like it will be well taken care of in Company of Heroes 3. And the heavily mechanized DAC seem like the perfect faction for you World War II vehicle aficionados. Right away, you're going to have so many machines to play.
look.
You're going to be up to your eyes in
Dude,
panzers
being able
in
to
no
put
time.
men on
And
tanks
all
is
those tanks
cool.
need a lot of room, so the big open spaces of North Africa are an ideal setting for the faction's biggest strength. Before we get to the surprise I've been teasing, we've got some more details to cover. So let's hand it back to the team at Relic to dig into the maps, missions, and mechanics.
I see an Opel Blitz truck towing
The
something.
goals of the DAC
If we can
is
tow
that
vehicles, I'm going to be so goddamn happy.
Across North Africa from Libya to Egypt and take control of the Suez Canal. That was their ultimate goal. Rommel came in, after the Allies had pushed them back all the way to Western Libya, and that's where our story kind of starts, is on the DAC's aggressive push back towards Egypt. So in North Africa, we're featuring a bunch of really great historical battles. Ajdabiyah, Ghazala, Tobruk, El Alamein. These were really important victories for the DAC. The way that we approach them is really by doing a bunch of research. We're reading accounts that we can find, we're watching documentaries, we're reading books, we're, in some cases, in the case of Tobruk, going to Google Earth because you can still see some of the trench lines in satellite photos. Just finding absolutely as much reference as we can to really inform what we're doing. We then take all of that information and try to boil it down into a few key points that we can make into objectives that capture the feeling of what the DAC was doing in these battles.
We heard them first. Distant thunder, like a storm among the mountains.
So we're telling kind of a dual story. In the actual gameplay, you'll experience Rommel. How you'll experience Rommel, that'll be very interesting. And I think, it's a difficult line to kind of ride. We don't want to glorify or make Rommel.
Wonder if there'll be alternative history, dude. I hope there is an option to do something like that, or at least later on, people can mod stuff like that. That'd be really cool.
Accuracy of Company of Heroes 3 very seriously. We realize that when you play the DAC faction, that you are playing the Germans, and we needed to balance of winning the battles, but still you lose this part of the war. So when you play as the DAC, you'll have fun in experiencing the units and the vehicles and the gameplay, but you need to know that coming into this aspect of the game, we're not changing history. You will lose. But at the same time, through other aspects of the storytelling, you're going to experience a really human story from a Jewish Berber family and what happened to them. And we worked really hard with cultural experts to make sure that what we were doing was inspired by and authentic to what happened. In the North African campaign, we're going to follow specifically the story of Selima. And Selima is a young woman who is heavily impacted by the dueling forces of the DAC and the British Allied forces.
Thanks for the resubs, guys, and all the new followers. Welcome.
These are really two forces that should just never have been there. Ultimately, Selima's story is a story of survival and a story of resistance. And it's a common story. It's a story that pops up whenever war happens.
Thanks, chat. I didn't realize. I thought that was on their end.
Usually end up having to do a story.
Thank you, White Joker.
Rebellion. And we're going to experience what Selima herself, a 17-year-old girl, has to do, what she feels she has to do in this time. And it's inspired by true events. We talked with a lot of people and heard the real stories and felt that this was something that should be told, that people should be more aware of. And that's the power of what games can do too. You can be educated in a lot of different ways, find the entertainment in a lot of different ways, and come away with some knowledge and some idea of what really happened there.
See, JPAC saying, for fuck's sake, just give us a video game. Yeah, I mean, I understand that sentiment.
British faction in Company of Heroes 3 is,
I do worry that they're going to again focus on their emotional side of it rather than just having a good game. I mean, for a campaign, yeah, maybe, but for the actual
Whereas
PvP
we would
stuff,
normally
then yeah.
portray the British as quite a dug-in and defensive faction,
Crusader,
this time
medium
we wanted
tank,
to go for a more well-rounded approach to try and portray them in their exploits in the North African desert. In particular, this time around, the British faction have a slew of powerful medium tanks, including the Crusader cruiser tank, which is among the fastest tanks in the game. If working in pairs, these vehicles can easily outmaneuver retreating enemy vehicles, strike them on their rear armor where they're weakest, and cause pretty serious damage.
When it comes to creating the missions, having the British forces as an enemy, like Will says, they're this incredibly robust faction, and when we're using them in missions, it means that we have a lot of tools at our disposal to kind of create interesting combat encounters. These fast, hard-hitting tanks. We can have
Churchill Black Prince. There we are.
The missions and really set up more mobile engagements.
We just need soldier and company stories like the one in Band of Brothers.
Got some.
Yeah, well, Company Heroes 1 focused on the actual Band of Brothers style aspect of it, heroes. This, again, I'm worried this is going to focus on more of a depressing side, and people don't want that. They want to play a fun game and be heroes. They don't want to relive depressing stuff, They can watch a documentary if they want to do that, I am worried about that.
But I also love the rooftop combat.
Yeah,
because it brings the maps to life a lot. You've got units fighting in the streets, and then you have garrison units, and you'll see a squad on top of a
we got a
shooting
Puma
down
of some
somebody
kind.
in the street, and it just adds so much, I think, texture and flavor to some of the cityscapes that you are fighting in North Africa as well.
With regards to weapon towing in particular, both the DAC
Look, you're towing a Flak 88 there,
have a
nice.
centerpiece unit which uses towing as a main mechanic.
Nice.
For the DAC, they have the Flak 36 anti-air gun, which made its debut in North Africa
Flak
as a
36,
direct fire anti-tank
not Flak
gun to
88.
great success. This
Is that a Bofors
hulking
again?
anti-tank weapon is
I think that might be a
towed
Bofors there, boys.
deployed where you need it. As a counter, the British forces also have the 17-pounder, which is being towed on a Pheasant. In the same way, this massive anti-tank weapon can be deployed where you need it and then detached and left where it's sat.
Oh, I do like
North
that.
African
pants.
Operation is a great place for new players to jump into the series. It's a linear, more straightforward campaign, and players will be introduced to these new mechanics, early on in that.
I love how this
campaign
person who's
so that they
microing
can
these
kind of
tanks
get
is
a
not
grasp
even
on them
individually
before
microing each
moving
tank,
on
they
to
just got them as a blob.
subsequent modes.
In particular, one of the mechanics that we keep on highlighting is full tactical pause, in the same way that they will in the...
Again, I really wish
Italian
Relic
campaign,
would
but
hire
so
people who actually know how to play their game to showcase their units off, right? Like in that attack with those tanks, they should have had one person micro each individual tank to push in from each individual angle, and it looked more impressive. It looked, show the game off in the best available light. Why just A, move everything and stuff like that, I don't get it. I don't understand the
The
thought process
environments
behind
themselves
that.
are very, very different. Whereas in Italy we have a considerable amount of height and changes in terrain and geography, as well as dense urban spaces like the Italian.
Yeah, get DevM to do it.
Famous.
DevM, man.
North Africa has a lot
DevM
of
knows how to
open
play this game. He would have
spaces.
probably done
Rolling
really well
deserts, wide
showcasing this, I
open
think.
roads, But the villages and towns themselves are also far more sparse. So while the ingredients
Oh,
that
look
go
at that!
into making a map are
A
all very
Famo recovery
similar,
half
you have
track.
a very stark contrast in how they play.
So we have a recovery
Usually
vehicle
you'll
for
find in North
the
African
DAC.
environments you have to
Brilliant.
start building your
To
own
repair
defenses,
vehicles.
because there just simply isn't.
Can we
enough
recover
to use.
destroyed weapons
Whereas
though?
in the Italian campaign, it's easier to create things like deadlocks in roads by putting small barricades in because the streets are so tight and so narrow.
One of the really fun parts of working on missions in North Africa has just been, the different environments that we've been able to incorporate.
Are they
into
inside a
these
train?
builds. We've talked about desert, of course, a lot. That's what comes to mind, but it's more than that as well.
Not, sorry,
We have
guards,
these
I don't know about air
small
power yet.
towns and these
Looks like there's
highway
aircraft, but I'm
convoys
not
and
sure.
rocky plateaus or big, stone formations. There's so much that we can use to really add kind of a lot of flavor and a lot of context to these maps. And so apart from them just being great gameplay spaces, they're also beautiful, and I can't wait, for people to see, all the work that the artists have put into these maps. They really look amazing.
Company of Heroes 3's multiplayer map pool will just have a wide variety of different sizes, locales. We wanted to make sure that we cater to all of our audiences, so we'll be returning with 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4 maps at launch. For the North African maps in particular, what we were aiming for is to still have that element of storytelling. We have maps such as Campbell's Convoy, where you start in what is otherwise a desert canyon, but the centerpiece is a British convoy.
I do love the new
going
impact
in.
shells and stuff on the
That little
ground. It
bit of
looks really
storytelling
cool.
is usually enough to give players a nugget of what they're into before they then develop their own story around this narrative.
But I could see the fear in his eyes.
I'm going to go back through some of this stuff
Welcome back to my
and go
Company
in
of Heroes bunker. There's just one more thing I need to
analyze
cover before I
things
say
some
goodbye,
more
and that's
once
the
this is over
surprise
with.
I teased earlier. I hope you didn't think I'd forgotten, because if I had, you'd be missing out on your first taste of Mission Alpha. That's right, Relic is giving you the opportunity to play through the mission we've been looking at today. I've already gone through
knew
it,
it.
and let me tell you, it's such good fun.
There we go,
I
boys.
can't wait to see how you deal with its final challenge, no spoilers. Mission
Get ready to
Alpha will
download.
allow you to try out the DAC for yourself and scare the crap out of your British adversaries. Push on relentlessly and try out just a portion of the new troops and vehicles you'll get to experiment with in the new campaign. Also, if you're new to Company of Heroes, don't worry. This mission will explain the basics, so you can spend less time working out what units do and more time sending them into battle. So while you download Mission Alpha, let's take a final trip to our Relic devs, who'll tell you everything you need to know and the improvements they've made to the engine, which you'll be able to see for yourself shortly. Oh, and make sure you listen out for some tips.
Mission Alpha takes place in Ajdavir. It is the opening of the campaign for the Deutsche Afrika Korps, or the DAC, and takes place as the British forces are attempting to retreat. You, as a commander coming in to support Italian forces, are attempting to prevent their escape from the area. You'll take control of a very simple but robust force in order to create a stranglehold along the road.
This is where that turning point happens, where the Allies have kind of overextended themselves, and the Desert Afrika Korps, they're coming in now to push them back. The DAC have a lot of really cool tools at their disposal. When it comes to Ajdabia and a few of the different maps that you'll find in North Africa, we're really trying to embrace kind of, this open desert feel. And so things like our new tank riding ability or our ability to tow certain weapons, that's gonna give players this really great mobility to like cross the battlefield as quickly as they can and hit the enemy forces where they might not be expecting it.
Don't let them flank!
There are units that I can't wait for players to see. I've been told to speak specifically about a few, but my favorite personally is the restoration vehicle. I know players love picking it up, and then as they go across the field, they're able to resurrect destroyed tanks.
Hey, boys!
The carcass or the husk of that tank. I really enjoy going by and picking those up, restoring that vehicle, and putting it back on the battlefield. The favorite part about that is actually picking up vehicles
Oh, they've got
from
the
the
LEIG.
opposing force. And so you're able to pick up a British Churchill if there's one out there and bring it back to life and then send it back at your enemy.
Wait,
For me, I think it has to be the Panzer III. I like that. I like that little
did he
tank.
just say I can
Punchy.
recover enemy
It's
vehicles?
Fast. You can put a squad of troops.
Did I hear
on
that
it.
correct?
You can give it some upgrades, and it is just—it's an awesome.
Was that-
and it looks great with dust all over it.
Mission Alpha starts with you coming to the aid of some
Ooh,
Italian
that's
forces,
gonna
and that
be-
also allows you to have some.
I don't know if that's going to make PvP, boys. We'll
Italian
see.
engineers, the Gastatori in particular, are easily one of my favorite units.
You can tow them
Equip
back.
them with flamethrowers or submachine
It makes
guns.
if
They
it does
can
make PvP,
charge
it's going to mean a
straight
whole.
enemy defenses.
People are not going to dive as much.
So while the
People, because they're so
vehicles
worried
are
if they lose their tank, it's just going to get stolen.
As someone who has played against
Even
Will
it gets destroyed,
a lot
so,
recently, I can attest that the flamethrowers are his favorite. He likes them a lot.
We have defeated the British forces, but more are expected to arrive soon.
Company of Heroes 3 will ship on our latest version of our engine, Essence Engine 5, and we've been able to make a lot of advancements over the years. It all started back with Company of Heroes 1, but we've been able to iterate through the various titles we've made over the years to advance the technology. We've done a lot of work in order to embrace and to utilize multi-core systems. So there's been work done not just to our simulation, but also to our physics and rendering systems to be able to spread more work across those cores so that we're really able to leverage those cores for faster frame rates and higher fidelity. So with the North African operation, we're bringing all the elements of traditional Company of Heroes destruction into that theater so that we can see elements of, deformation of terrain, the buildings being destroyed, and still while those buildings being destroyed, soldiers are still trying to find combat slots to be able to fire from. So all these things work
occasionally you'll
together to
bounce
bring
there,
all
you
the
can
Company
see.
of Heroes
Sometimes your pen.
experience into that theater. Our co-dev experience has been really interesting. It's been great to get feedback from our players to be able to understand how can we just make the game a little bit better. And so this is where we got feedback about how some of the vehicles looked. And we were able to take the feedback and really be able to introduce more elements of weathering, of grit, of damage, to really be able to create a more visual representation of vehicle damage and wear and tear through the battles that you'll experience. So destructible buildings, destructible foliage, all those things combined together with the vehicles.
Yeah, I'm
and
not
units
sure other
moving around
than
for
having the
just
Black
a
Prince in
more,
Africa.
like,
People in
enriched
chat are saying they never
destruction
even saw
environment.
combat the Black Prince, so it
So
seems
that's what
like,
makes today
I'm
really
going to keep
exciting.
talking about
Being able to put the
authenticity.
game
That's not very
in
authentic.
Players' hands.
So I wonder what they're gonna
please go
do.
to companyheroes.com and check out the Mission Alpha for Company of Heroes 3.
Thanks again to the team at Relic for the lowdown on everything we've covered today.
I don't know
I'm
anything
sure you're
about
now wondering how
Commander's
you can get your
Scar.
hands on the mission, but don't worry, I got you. Just head on over to community.companyofheroes.com. Sign up for co-development and then link your Steam account on the rewards page.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, you can claim your demo. And if you played any of the alpha previews, you'll already have Mission Alpha in your Steam library.
Hey.
In case you missed it, we now have a release date for Company of
Oh,
Heroes
shit!
3, so you can play it this year on November 17th.
The war touched
November 17th!
and there are
It is going to be
many
this
stories
year.
to tell.
Is that too early? Oh, got Infantry Cosmetics, Vehicle Cosmetics, Pioneer Title and Profile Border for a Devil's Brigade Pack DLC. Dude, that's early, mate. That's too early, is it not? Thanks for watching that video. If you want more content, click up here. Or click over here to click on other content. But make sure to click on that middle button to subscribe to the channel. Okay. And I stream every single day on twitch.tv/HelpingHans. Catch you in the next one, guys. Take care.